Hello. Say something so that I know the
Hello.
volume is working.
Does it work? I think it's working.
It might just be low, so
Yeah.
you might have to talk loud.
Alex, is it working?
No?
No.
Okay.
Hit settings down here, maybe.
I don't think that's
No.
gonna work.
Audio. Come on. Okay. Yeah?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Hello. Welcome to our YouTube live stream after Miguel's 70.3 in Chattanooga. Let us know in the comments or in the chat if there's any issues with the stream or if you can't hear us or anything. And use the chat to add any questions that you have for Miguel. We solicited some questions off of Instagram, but anything live that comes up during this, just pop it in there.
Yeah. Yeah. As always, before we get started, we want to thank all of our.
You're fine.
Okay, we're good. All of our sponsors, especially like for this race, Quintana Roo and Vision made the biggest impact out there on the course with a new bike and a new wheel setup, and also Ryzen with my new race kit, and Precision Fuel and Hydration, the big four, if you will, that really fuel the excellence of our channel and our racing and our training. So if you haven't heard of those brands, check them out. If you have heard of them, you know they're amazing, and you know why we partner with them, and you know why we continue to talk about them, because they really do make all of this possible, and they help us go fast. I just finished 70.3 Chattanooga. That was on Sunday, so it was a couple days ago. I'm still pretty sore and dinged up. It was my first race back in 9 months. So it was kind of a shock to the system as a whole. But before I go on about it, we did ask on Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram, check us out at Freestyle Try. But we took some questions there, and Jenna wrote some down. So I'll start by just answering some questions. Yeah?
Yeah, well, I think we always try to start this with a brief recap of the race for the people who didn't follow along on race day. And we try as hard as possible to make it brief, not a 10-minute recap. So let's cap it at 2, ready, go.
All right. Yeah. Starting with the result, I came in 7th. This is my second professional season. So I'm racing in the pro field. I came in 7th. I think there's a pretty big field, like 65 on the start list. Who knows how many started? I think just about 50 finished. It was a pretty hot, humid day. Chattanooga is a hilly course. There's no flat ground, both on the bike or the run. The swim is downstream. The swim started out, as always in a pro field, pretty aggressively. I didn't quite make the front pack. My swim fitness is still trying to come back from my shoulder injury. So I knew that wasn't going to be fully optimized. I hung on to some feet, got out of the water in the top 10, probably like, 7th or 8th. Ran in a transition with Matt Hansen, along with a few others. The beginning of the bike was aggressive. The road quality is kind of crap out of Chattanooga. The first 4 miles are not great. There are a lot of turns, technical. It's pretty punchy out of turns and everything. So the race kind of started out with a bang. And once we got on the open road, I kind of found myself in a little bit of a pack. I remember Jackson Landry came by at around mile 10, maybe. 8 to 10, something like that. And he was right in front of me. I was second wheel. He put in an attack. My goal of the race was to stay engaged in the front of the race. I knew he was going to be the front of the race, and he was going to go meet up with the front guys up the road. I tried to follow the attack for 5 minutes. I didn't quite anticipate it as well as I could have. So a gap opened up. And I got dropped by him after 5 minutes. And I found myself in another mini pack with a bunch of other guys. It got dwindled to 3. Um, Myself, Matt Hansen, and Hunter Lucy. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, Hunter. And the 3 of us rode the whole 56 miles together. The first 30 minutes of being in that pack, I kind of stayed on the wheels. And then when I kind of felt the ride getting easier and the pace kind of letting up, and realizing it was only the 3 of us, I started to take some pulls. We were probably switching off every 3 to 5 minutes. We were cooperating, which was nice, and we were moving along pretty good. We got in a transition together, and we started running. I think we were 7th, 8th, and 9th coming into transition. And yeah, I passed Hunter at some point earlier in the run, and then Matt took off like a gazelle and won the race. Yeah, so it was a good day. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, first race back from your crash and your new shoulder. So I'd say it was a complete success.
Yeah. It was. There's a lot of new sensations going on, or what felt like new sensations, and I have a new kind of mindset and a new approach to racing this year and everything. So it was cool to see the work that I've put in since the crash and surgery pay off. It was they actually put it up on PTO rankings already, like the points and everything, but it was my highest point scoring race ever. And my highest place in a big field. It is the Ironman Pro Series and everything. So I'm not the least bit disappointed with 7th place, because I know that that's just where I was last year, and I had a big head start last year. This is just a rust buster. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I know there's a lot of good ahead.
This was also your first race with your new coach. And what was different, I guess, with that, both in training and like your mindset going into racing?
Yeah. And to, eliminate any confusion, same team, working triathlete. I'm on the same team, working triathlete. And we had a bunch of, our whole team felt like it was racing at this race. There are several guys and girls in the pro field now on working triathlete. But yeah, this year I have moved on to another coach. His name is Craig Upton. He's local. He's in the Bay Area. So we work really closely together and work well. Yeah, I think the whole approach that I've taken this year and what initiated the new coach was I need to be more engaged in the racing aspect of this sport. He comes from a professional cycling background himself, and he coaches professional cycling today currently. So he is all about engaging in the front of the race, and has eyes on winning races, and that's what we're after. That's why I'm doing this sport. I'm not doing it to drop a best time or run the fastest run split I can at the end of each race, but to win races. And it's a whole different game when you show up to races with that mindset. So all of my training is about there's a lot more bike volume. There's a lot more, race intensity, and not just like becoming efficient at your projected race target power, but like anticipating what do attacks look like? What do surges look like? What does it look like if you're in a pack and you need to attack, and following attacks? And, I'm getting there. This is the first race that I really tried out kind of those new tactics and those new sensations in my legs. And we've already analyzed some of the efforts from the race and know what we need to do. But yeah, there's a lot of training on the bike that's just like really freaking hard. I've failed more workouts this year than I ever have in the past. But you're going to blow up in races, and it's like you have to try those attacks in practice to be prepared for them in races. And the more you try them, the more you practice them, the more your body gets used to them. So that's kind of the biggest difference. And the mindset difference is huge too, is, racing without power, basically, like going to races and just like race. Uh, and having the freedom to do that, having the confidence to show up to races and be like, okay, you've trained for this, like go hang with them, go do what you can and go give it your all. And, now it's like race really hard and then get to the run and see what you have left. It's the whole deal now.
Speaking of like race dynamics and the bike leg, how were the bike dynamics for you? And I think we got a lot of questions about Race Ranger. It was your first race using Race Ranger. It's the first year that Race Ranger is being used all the Ironman races, or the Ironman Pro Series races. And I think people have a lot of questions about how that potentially is changing racing.
Yeah. The Race Ranger is interesting because the first thing I know, this was my first race with it. And the first thing I noticed is or realized really, is how conservative I was last year in terms of drafting. Like you can, with these drafting rules and draft zones, you can still get pretty close. You can get a pretty significant benefit. And it really, I think, is going to change everything this year in Ironman racing because, I think there's going to be way more emphasis on attacking and surges and seeing how hard you can make people suffer before they just give up and lose your wheel, as opposed to just sustaining the highest possible power you can for a race. And it's a whole, mental game to like be looking up and looking at this light that keeps changing colors. And one of the rules is if that light turns red and you get too close and you're in their draft zone, you have two options. You can back out of the zone and get a penalty, or you can pass them. So there's more passing. I noticed in our pack of 3, it was like when I was on third wheel, I would see Hunter like maybe accidentally get into the draft zone of Matt Hansen in front of me, and it would turn red and he'd have to pass him immediately, even though he had just taken a pole. And I don't know if that was like on purpose where he wanted to control the pace, or if he was just, you slip into the zone and it's like, shit, I have to pass. But, I think for me, it actually benefited me a lot, again, because I could actually get closer than I thought I could have last year, which made me just play with, the bike dynamics more than ever. All of my races last year, I got dropped and was sitting in no man's land for a significant portion of the bike leg. But, I think it's pretty cool to actually like be one of those top guys that are in packs and working together and going fast. I mean, I think like this is a course where if you're biking alone, you could be losing 8 minutes out there versus like being with a pack and staying engaged and working together. I biked a 203 on power that wasn't my highest power, but I think it's just I think it also plays to the strengths of my training right now too, because there is more emphasis on like attacks and surges versus sustained power, which is what Race Ranger and dynamics are shaken out to be.
It's probably a lot more fun to race with others, and instead of doing a time trial as your triathlon, actually being with other people, almost like playing with them and working together as a team to get closer and closer to that front pack. It makes it more interesting and more exciting than just racing by yourself.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot easier mentally to bike 90 kilometers with other people versus doing it alone. And it's also, I didn't know Hunter before this race, but Matt is another Quintana Roo athlete, and there aren't a whole lot of us, so it's it was cool to bike with Matt and know that I had a buddy out there that was working with me. And I actually chatted with him after the race a little bit. We messaged each other, and because I was just interested hearing from an experienced pro, like how I did, like how I rode and everything. And he gave me some positive feedback. Like he said I rode well and did things correctly. And, which is always a concern as a rookie. You're just like these annoying little amateurs popping up to the pro field and, who knows what you're doing. So it was nice to have the validation that like I'm doing things that an experienced professional would be doing too.
I think that's really precious that you asked him for feedback on your performance. Like
how'd I do, Dad?
How was the new bike? You and Matt were matching out there.
Yeah, we were. It's sitting back right behind us right now.
Resting.
Yeah, it's amazing. I could get into all the granular details of the difference between the VPR and the VPRI, but that's a little boring, but it goes fast. It goes very fast, and it was a very easy transition, which, is always a concern, getting a new bike the week of a race. But I got it for a few rides, and it felt better than I was expecting it to feel, and felt more natural than I was expecting it to feel. So, yeah, I mean, like any new gear, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but what I like to say is the best gear, especially in triathlon, is the gear you do not notice. And during the race, I didn't notice I had a new bike. I just noticed I was biking hard and staying engaged in the race, which that's everything. You don't want to be thinking about your gear.
Yeah. Not worried about it at all.
Yeah.
Wasn't doing anything weird under you.
Exactly.
Okay. For anybody who was at the race, that it was really hot. And I think a lot of people were struggling with that. Like I personally, who did not race, was sweating profusely the entire time. How did you do? Obviously, you're finishing a lot earlier than some of the age group athletes that are finishing by 12-1 when the sun is at peak. And
yeah, props to you all for doing the race, whoever did it. It was not an easy day. This course can eat you up on hot days, and it was a hot day, and I didn't even get the worst of it. So yeah, huge props.
Did you do anything to like acclimate to the heat? It's also early.
Yeah.
It's May. There aren't that many places where it is really warm, where people are able to acclimate to it. A lot of people are coming from the mountains where it's chilly.
Yeah.
And then did you do anything special during the race to stay cool?
Yeah. So I work very closely with Precision Fuel and Hydration, who not only, give us gels and salt tabs, but they have consultants and sports scientists on their team that know everything there is to know about how to fuel during a race in every type of climate. I am the guy who likes to get a little bit acclimated to new climates. We live in Northern California, where it's pretty different than any race will ever do anywhere else in the country. And I think everyone can say that based on where they live. It's like you travel somewhere to race, the climate is going to be different. So I think mentally it's good to just like get your head in that new climate, so the race isn't a shock. But also, go check it out. PH has a lot of research and data about like the physiological adaptations that your body makes when you get into a hot climate, and it only improves performance. So get to the hot climate early and get your body jump started on those adaptations. It'll help during the race. That's the biggest thing. And when it's hot, you just got to drink more, and you got to know what your sodium concentration is in your sweat, so you can be drinking the right stuff, because just water isn't good enough. You need some salt in there. So having more of a focus on the hydration versus the fueling. The fueling is still important, but you're not going to absorb anything if you're not drinking enough. So you got to drink a lot. You got to drink more than you can. And just being listening to your body, like if you're eating a lot and you just feel like your mouth is getting a little dry, drink something. Your whole plan kind of goes out the window when the race starts. You just have to start listening to your body. So that's what I was doing. I launched a bottle pretty early on in the race, and for everyone that gets upset and says like, if I would have done this, if I just could have done this, I would have gone faster. Matt Hansen also dropped a bottle. He dropped 600 calories of nutrition and a bunch of hydration in the bottle at mile 3, and he ran a 109 and won the race. So there are ways you can kind of like combat things when they don't go your way, and fueling and hydration is a big one. You just have to be constantly thinking about what the next move is. And if you didn't bring enough water, I dropped my bottle. I managed to grab a Gatorade at an aid station and stayed in the pack with these guys, which I was really happy about. I knew that I needed to stop at an aid station, but I didn't want to get dropped, and I figured out how to do that. But yeah, I mean, I would say, around the whole fueling and hydration on hot days, it's just having experience in it, getting to the race early, and talking with some experts if you have the opportunity to, and they will guide you in how to do things correctly.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to go into detail about what your nutrition plan was?
Yeah.
I know it's very individual, but I think people are really curious how much you eat and how much you drink, how much sodium you have.
Mm-hmm. My sodium concentration is around 1,200 milligrams per liter. I sweat anywhere from 1 to 2 liters. That sweat rate goes up once you start getting acclimated to heat. So I knew I was going to be sweating more because I've been here in Tennessee for 2 weeks before the race. So, my plan was to drink about 2.5 liters on the bike and eat about 100 grams of carbs per hour. I did not do that well. Well, I didn't hit those numbers. I didn't drink enough. I didn't eat enough on the bike. Luckily, the second half of the bike was not super difficult. We were working together and we could conserve some energy. So I knew that when I got into the run, I had a soft flask waiting for me in transition with 1,500 milligrams of sodium. So I was able to get my electrolytes back in. I was able to stop at aid stations, get more water. I had a bunch of gels. I think I had probably like 6 to 7 gels on the run.
pH gels, precision.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I wrapped a bunch to my soft flask and I had a bunch in my back pocket. I had 100 milligrams of caffeine before the race, another 200 milligrams on the bike, and another 200 on the run, early in the run, because it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to actually get the boost from caffeine. So yeah, and the run, really my strategy for eating on the run is to eat what I can tolerate. And I could feel there was only one point where I had a side stitch during the second loop, but I was able to just finish off my electrolytes, get some water, breathe into it, and it went away. But I noticed that my stomach was fine. So I just kept slamming gels up until 5 minutes to go in the race, literally towards the end. I grabbed a gel from an aid station and had it with 5 minutes left, because that stuff works and you got to eat. And if you can tolerate it, do it.
Yeah. If you didn't take that gel, honestly, maybe Eduardo would have caught you.
I got 7th, by 20 seconds. So yeah, seriously, you need to fuel to the very end, because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, Eduardo came in 20 seconds behind me.
Just a question about your nutrition leading up to the race. Do you do anything special, anything different, or is it same old?
Just never be hungry. That's the biggest thing. For the days leading up, you just don't want to have a moment where your stomach is telling you you got to eat. So I make sure whenever I especially the day before when we were out at the expo for a while, I just always bring food with me. And our friend Alex was going out to get us sandwiches, but I packed my own homemade sandwich. So, just be prepared for anything and be prepared to be stuck somewhere without food, and just have that food, have water, have everything ready for you. So I guess it's there isn't that much different that I do and that I eat. But I just kind of like start over preparing for situations where I, need to prevent being hungry.
That's smart. I don't do that. Did you get a slot to Worlds?
I think so. I'm pretty sure, most people in front of me, maybe all of them have their World slot already. I'm not going to Worlds. We're not going to New Zealand. We are planning a trip to Europe in late September, early October. We're going to do a couple challenge races, one in Italy, one in France, and that's going to be our big international adventure for the year. We thought that would be a cooler opportunity for us to go explore a new race series. Quintana Roo is partnered with Challenge this year, and we're partnered with Quintana Roo, so it makes a lot of sense for us to hop in and do those races. And aside from Finland last year, we've never raced in Europe. So yeah, we just got more excited about these challenge races than we could for another Ironman race.
Not that the 70.3 in New Zealand won't be amazing and beautiful, and I'll definitely have a FOMO
Huge
there.
FOMO. Yeah. And to see, basically, it's the biggest 70.3 in the world. So it's definitely a missed opportunity, and yeah, we're gonna feel it. But it's like, everyone who does the sport knows they have to choose their races wisely. It's expensive to travel. It's hard to travel. It takes a lot out of you. So we are choosing our battles wisely this year, not to overcook ourselves or go bankrupt. So
yes. Okay, we're nearing our 30-minute mark, which we like to cut them off at around 30 minutes. I'm going to go through some more rapid fire, like quicker questions right now, but this first one might take a while. There were a lot of questions about the hair routine.
Oh yeah. Well, do
we
have another 30 minutes?
Ready, go.
No hair routine. I just don't do full distance Ironmans, so I still have energy left to grow my hair and not have a receding hairline. So maybe when I start doing full Ironmans, I'll have to figure out how to maintain my hair.
You aren't allowed to do fulls.
I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't do full Ironmans until I'm 30, and I'm 28, so I'll reevaluate the situation in a couple years. But no, I don't know. I just like having longer hair, and it doesn't get in the way. What I did do differently this time is I put it in a bun and kept the bun on the bike leg, so I was able to stick my helmet over the bun.
Did you have it low?
Yeah, I should have had it a little bit lower, but
that's what I struggle with.
Yeah, but that way, because I realized looking at race pictures, my hair is just flopping all over the place out of my helmet, and that's not very aero. So I solved that this race, and that will continue. And then I did the headband for the run, which is fantastic. Ryzon makes a great sweatband, which I'm going to keep utilizing.
I think Jan Frodeno used to race in a similar sweatband.
Yeah, but Jan doesn't have the hair like I do, Jenna.
It's the Prince Charming hairstyle. Tom Cameron, we watched Shrek last night.
Yeah.
And yes, I was also comparing him to Prince Charming.
Do I want to be Prince Charming from Shrek, though? That guy's evil, man.
He is really evil and really stupid. What shoes did you race in?
So for the swim, I did not race in any shoes. I swam barefoot.
Good.
For the bike, I wore, so in the past, last year I wore Bont's Zeros, which are, like their aero time trial shoes. I haven't been training in those a lot, so I ended up wearing the Bont Vapors, which are the most comfortable road shoe I've ever worn in my life, and that's just what I've been practicing in every day. So I raced in those. We chatted with one of the engineers from Quintana Roo, and he was talking about how BOAs, like, there's a myth about how they slow you down so much on bike shoes, but they're actually like whatnot. That, you know, you can test them and they could be just as fast, if not faster. So I just ended up going with my road shoes and felt super comfortable the whole time. So if you're looking for new bike shoes, check out Bont. Those Vapors Jenna has them too. And you know, maybe once I figure out my cleat position a little better on the Bont Zeros, I'll go back to racing with those, but just didn't feel very comfortable with them for this one. And then for the run, I wore the new Hoka Cielo X1s. Is that what they call them? And they're amazing. They really, you know, last year I wore the Saucony Elites, which are, you know, another high-end super shoe. I think I like the Hoka's a little better. I didn't do a side-by-side test like you did, but you know, the Sauconys put you very much on your toes and kind of like bouncing off your toes, which some people love that feeling. I liked it, but the Hoka's give you more of like a cushion and a roll rather than a pop, which that's just how I'm more comfortable running. That's how I train when I run, kind of like activating the back chain, the hamstrings and the glutes and everything, and just using that to roll forward. So it was a great feeling. I'm going to keep doing it.
What was your favorite part of the whole race or of the course in general?
It's always the second lap in these kinds of races because, you know, no, hear me out. Hear me out. The second lap is miserable, but it's also when everybody's out there. And you start seeing your teammates. I start, you know, seeing the other pro women on our team out there, you know, and age groupers that are on our team, and just age groupers that know us and are saying, hey, and there are more fans out and just more support. And it's really when you're suffering, and it's when the race is at its hardest, which if you do this sport enough, that's why you do it. You do it because we do hard things. And there's just something about that second lap, or the, you know, towards the end of a race when everybody's out there and everybody's cheering, and it's just that's why you do the sport, that right there. You know, and I could say that for every single race. So eliminating that, the bike leg was the first time I've really been engaged in the front of a race, and I want to do better. I want to be in the front pack, not the chase pack, but to be able to hang in the chase pack with the dude who won the race was really cool. And it's really, really hard, but I know like you're going to get what you put into it. So, you know, you just got to keep racing hard and keep going after that feeling, and keep staying engaged and anticipating things before they happen. And it's just, it gave me the feeling of like what it's like to actually race at these things, and not just making it to the finish line and looking up and wondering what your result is. It's just, it's fun to race. So, yeah.
I don't know what Barton Hill is.
On what part? Is it the hill on the bike or the hill on the
I don't
run?
think it's the hill on the bike.
Oh. Yeah, the hill on the
run, maybe.
The run that you have to do twice. The first time it was fine. I like running hills. The second time, kind of, yeah, the run course. It is. The first time I was like, oh yeah, this is fine, but I can't believe I'm gonna have to do.
Oh, that's
for the full.
Oh, you didn't have to do it. Well, that one hill, that tiny little hill.
Hills are fine until you're just out of energy.
Yeah. Which I am out of energy on the first lap, not the second lap.
Just keep eating, everybody. Yeah. Just eat a lot. Trust us.
What's the breakfast routine?
You're wearing it, Jenna.
Wearing this shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some in our next YouTube video, but I put on my Big Day Oats shirt and ate a heaping bowl of Big Day Oats.
At around 3 a.m.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eat early, eat a lot, never go hungry. And speaking of shirts, we are continuing this launch of our carb collection. They're on pre-order sale now on our website. Had to plug, but they're really cool. You can get one of these long sleeve Big Day Oats shirts. We also have short sleeve Carburrito shirts for after your event when you're carb deprived.
Don't get them mixed up though. Don't wear the carb burrito shirt before the race and eat a carb burrito, because that could lead to dicey results. If you were at Chattanooga actually and you didn't get to see us and you wanted to get a shirt, DM us on Instagram and we can give you a code for free shipping.
Honor system.
Yeah, but I think if anybody DMs me asking for a code for free shipping, I will give it to them.
Wow, you just said that, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, how many more questions should I ask?
Oh, I'm having fun.
Okay, what do you think about when you race? Anything weird pop up into the head?
There was a lot of times where I was just like, this is really hard. This is really hard. And it's funny because after I chatted with my coach and he gave me some data, and he was basically like, oh, you could have gone twice as hard. Like you still had more in the tank. So it's kind of fun to start, like, I mean, just continuing to reevaluate what hard is, because it keeps getting harder at this sport. But the fitter you get and the more you do it, the more experienced you get, the more you understand how much you can take. So I feel like that this is really hard is never going to go away. Maybe I can try to spin it in a more positive light where it's like, making sure I'm also telling myself that everybody else is suffering too. Because that's the thing. It's like, if you're suffering hard, everybody else is suffering. So you gotta back up this is hard it's hard for everybody. This race I tried to, Alice Albert's another Quintana Roo athlete, a female pro. We were chatting the day before the race, and she just told me, like, when the race gets really hard, just remind yourself, like, about how grateful you are to be back and racing again, because it's been such a long, hard journey to get my shoulder right and to get my body and mind right after the crash and the surgery that, it just really was, this race felt just like a celebration to be finally back. Really, it's just been so hard. And really, I have to, like, thank Jenna, thank the whole community for standing by us and everything and helping me get to this point, because there were some gloomy days, but the positivity in this community kept me on track and got me to where I needed to be. So I was smiling a lot during the run. When it got really hard, I was just telling myself, you love this. Literally, I was saying, you love this when it got really hard. And it was cool to, like, feel how reckless running is at the end of a triathlon, like running hard at the end of a triathlon actually is, and how much pain you can tolerate. And it's a cool feeling to just being able to keep going at that level. So I was just, reminding myself of that gratitude the whole time, which, everybody can do that. It's like, you chose to sign up for this race. When it gets really hard, you got to remind yourself, like, what you're grateful for, and you're grateful for continuing to keep going.
You paid too much for the race to give up in the middle of it.
Yeah. Or to just not give it your all, just keep
or to
giving
not
it
have
your
fun
all,
during
no matter
it.
what. Yeah, exactly. Smile. Just everybody just smile.
Did you feel any discomfort from your injury while you were doing the race?
No.
Your brand new shoulder?
My swimming got, my arms fatigued fairly quickly on the swim, just because I'm trying to get all the strength and range of motion back and everything. But as far as just, like, acute pain or anything like that in the arm, like, it felt completely fine. So if you're, looking for a good shoulder guy, check out Dr. Dan Solomon.
You can use
He's a sponsor, so not just kidding.
Right, affiliate code.
Yeah. 20% off shoulder surgery. Use code Freestyle Try.
Nobody is allowed to get shoulder surgery anymore. No crashes are allowed for the rest of 2024. Okay, our favorite bakery, I think everybody's favorite bakery when they go to Chattanooga is Need Loves. What was your favorite treat from there for people in future years?
I'm a lemon poppy seed guy, either in any form. That's just my favorite pastry. So the lemon poppy seed scone that we had the week leading up, that was really good. Also, their lox bagel I had after the race, that was delicious. But if you're looking for a treat, yeah, lemon poppy seed scone. Yeah.
I guess what is next for the two of us? This will answer a couple questions.
So
we're still in Nashville right now. We're staying with our friend Alex Leandri, who's in a lot of our videos as well.
Alex, say hi.
She might be in a meeting.
Whatever. Alex, we didn't save you any lemon poppy seed scone because it sat in my back pocket, in my sweaty back pocket for a while.
Hi.
But yeah, we're in Nashville. I guess tomorrow I'm flying to Boulder, and I'm going to be there for a couple weeks and then do 70.3 Boulder. It's the next Ironman Pro Series race. And then Jenna.
I am going up to Omaha, Nebraska for USAT Multisport Nationals at the beginning of June. So I'm going to stick around Nashville for the next couple weeks to heat acclimate and to not have to fly a few times before then to get back home and then over to Omaha. Unfortunately, timing worked out horribly where both of our races that we're doing are the same weekend and the same weekend as the T100 in San Francisco, which is too bad. I was really excited about watching that race and seeing people out there, but we'll be watching it from the middle of the country instead of the Bay. Just disappointing.
Yeah. Next year. Well, I'll be there next year.
Yeah. In the T100 race.
Yes, exactly.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? I kind of need to get back to work too.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys are amazing. I love doing what we do because of the community and getting a chance to hang out with you all. When we were hanging out at the QR tent before the race and people were coming up just to say hi and that they like our videos, that just literally means the world to us, because it takes so much work to put everything together every day, every week, and train on top of it. And it's just rewarding for that, just to see everyone's reactions to it. So yeah, if you see us around, come say hi. Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have a video about the race whenever Miguel finishes editing the video. I didn't run around at sprint speed for nothing all of Sunday.
Yeah.
So that video will be coming out soon. And if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at Freestyle Try or Miguel Maddox at Jenna Hoffler. And check out our new shirts at freestyletry.com and DM me if you want a free shipping code. All right.
Cool. Thanks for joining, everybody. Chat soon.
Bye.